Good evening, everyone. On behalf of LV Prasad Eye Institute's Institute for Vision Rehabilitation, a warm welcome to all of you who all are here. We are so glad because Global Accessibility Awareness Day is such a big day for people with disabilities. It's like a celebration for us. It's like, wow, this is my day. So I'm so happy to see you all here. And those of you who do not know about Global Accessibility Awareness Day, this is celebrated on every third Thursday of May. And what's accessibility? So right now, I'm Aishwarya. I am wearing a black kurti. I'm dusky in color. I have a shoulder length hair, and you're sat in an auditorium called Patodia. The layout is rectangle. There are seating capacity is 150, and there are four entrances at every corner of this auditorium. So this is a description, small description of how accessibility works. And sometimes, in many of our lives, like those with disabilities, accessibility does not really exist. Example, I'm watching a movie at a theater, and then suddenly I hear some people around me laughing because maybe there's a joke that's going on that are just to do with visuals. Second scenario, I'm ravenously hungry and I'm, being a true Hyderabadi, I think of ordering a biryani, and then I swipe everything and I come to pay now button to realize that the button is not accessible. Then another instance is I want to get into a place and I'm trying to Uber drops me there and I'm trying to figure out the way inside. And then I take 100 steps or more than that to get inside it, whereas for the sighted person, it is just a matter of 10 steps. So this, we don't want it. We want accessibility, and to spread awareness about it, we are here today. And to start off, I would like to welcome Dr. Deva Jayaraman to give away the welcome address. Thank you.
So good evening, all of you, and we are very happy to have you all here. Actually, to function effectively and safely in everyday life, education, and employment, persons with disabilities need access physically as well as socially. In the spaces or in the employment zone, needs, goods, and entertainment zone, and community participation as everyone else in the community. So how are we going to do this? So we have to make the accessibility features to the greatest extent to make things easy for them in every domain of living. So that is what is like, that's the initiative we have taken, and like a drop in the ocean, our team tried to create a bit of awareness on this special day. So, on behalf of LV Prasad Eye Institute, I am very happy to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Like we have our speakers, and we have students, parents, and corporates, employers and employees, and everyone who has the concern for the persons with disability, and who is going to spread awareness along with us and joining hands with us. So, a special welcome to one and all once again. Thank you very much.
To begin with our public awareness talks, I would like to welcome Raghavendra Satish Perri. He's a very close friend of mine. He is the founder of 11Y. I call him the assistive tech guru because asking anything, he will have an answer. And it is in the night time, he's exploring some kind of technology all the time, helping people, helping the students, giving them information. Raghav, the mic is yours.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Raghav, and I'm blind. Okay. Am I audible now? Okay. So I'm not access to tech guru. I'm just doing my bit. I'll just briefly share my story. About 23 years back, I showed up in the same hospital as a low vision user. And the rehab center, Beulah, Mahalakshmi madam, everyone helped me out. And back then, digital technology is not very prevalent. Like you don't, other than cassette recordings, there's nothing much. And computer is so costly back then, if you know, like 2000, 2001. And, but my sister is an engineer and we got a computer in 2004. And that's where it opened a lot of doors for me. And I'm a low vision back then. So I was using magnifiers. Interesting thing is I learned everything as a sighted person, how technology operates. I never knew how a person with disability operates internet. And I never had friends. Like I've been in a regular school, college. I never had friends who are people with various disabilities. I never met another person who is blind or low vision, other than once in a while, my brief interaction in LV Prasad. So there's no awareness even for me. When I graduated in 2007, when I went to campus placements, I thought I am qualified. I showed up at every written exam, interview, and in the final round, they say, oh, you say you're blind, you're getting blind, you're low vision. How do you work? And I explain that I use this magnifier. And employers say, oh, we are not sure if we have that capabilities in. And I say, no, it's there in Windows. There's magnifier and Windows XP. You have the screen reader called JAWS. They're like, I'm not sure if it is approved in our information technology, IT department. And I never got job. Like all my friends got into different companies. I did not get job. And my father wanted me to do my master's. And I thought it's pointless because if you can't work for someone, there's no point studying. This has been my attitude back then. So what I did is I went to a friend's place and he was creating websites back then. I said, what do you do with this? He said, you can make money because you get ads. I came home, did everything that I can to read about it. I started building and selling websites. And that's how an entrepreneur was made at the age of 19. And I ran that business for about 3 years. And from low vision, it became more worse because I was spending like 14, 15 hours trying to do something on internet. And still, trust me, I have no idea what accessibility, what awareness of inclusive design or universal design, anything back then. What happened is one of my client who happens to be a university said, we need accessible website. And that's when I went, read about it. I built one for them. And I thought this is not sustainable because what I understood is screen readers are not reading any of the websites or mobile. Back then, mobile apps are not more. It's website and web apps. We were building web apps back then, software applications. They're not reading any of it. And I said, this is not good. So I went, learned screen readers first. Then I started interacting with it. I thought no, I need to know how a technology functions. So then I joined IBM to see how technology companies work. And that's where it opened a lot of doors because if anyone says who is the best employer in technology, I interacted with a lot of companies during my last 15 years of career. And the first thing I understood is there are few companies in India that does a lot of work. And IBM is one of them. Like I walk into the floor and I see people with various disabilities. And this is like any IBM building I walked in, I just see there's diversity in that. And we've been talking diversity means just hiring women employees or women leadership for a very long time. That shift started coming back in 2010, 2011 in some corporates. And technology, digital technology, I understood back then, this is what I wanted to do, accessibility. I transitioned, I was not in accessibility initial, I transitioned to accessibility team. And I learned everything about accessibility. Then I understood there's a lot more to be done. We don't have technology that is built for people who are elderly. We don't have technology that is built for autistic kids. We don't have technology for low vision users to use a certain way. And later I understood very interesting thing. It's not technology. Technology can be built. A problem can be solved with technology. But a problem with people cannot be solved. A problem with people is the thinking. You have to shift the thinking so that you can shift technology. I'll give you a very interesting example. Like I was interacting with a very high profile PhD candidate, doctoral candidate last year. And this doctoral candidate got a job in a very big corporate company. And IT department refused to give JAWS, which is someone who is blind need JAWS or any other screen reader. It can be VoiceOver or NVDA. A problem is they say it is cost. We don't have budget. Now, how can you ask someone who is blind to work without screen reader? They say Windows has narrator, you can work with it, which is good, but there's a learning curve. That's a platform agnostic. So what I understood is everyone builds their own platform. They have their own technology on top of it. There's no interoperability. So this is something I work again. Like how can you build something that works on all platforms? Today, like I build artificial intelligence technology. I build patterns. I work with data scientists to see where we can create more robust solutions. But more than that, my focus is right now building shift in thinking, which is like policy making, leadership awareness, and managerial awareness. Because the people enable people. Technology will enable people. Technology is there. The future is here. We have all technology. How many of you have smartphones here? Everyone, correct? We all have technology. You're carrying it for more than a decade. And this decade, did it solve the accessibility challenges? Did it solve the problems of people with disabilities? No. 90% of the internet is still not accessible. Technology is here. It is the thinking that people has to invest little bit of effort. They need to give development resources, design resources. They need to put some cost in it because accessibility and design shift makes a lot of thinking. And I always say people, oh, why you want to retrofit something? Why can't you have people with disabilities from day one? You want to build a mobile app? Call the user participants, take their feedback, put it in part of your design thinking, put it part of your stories. And we are seeing that shift, but there's a lot more to be done. This is like this 12th year of Global Accessibility Awareness Day. I run my own accessibility community called Hello Accessibility for the last 4 years. And we feel that we haven't done much still. Like in India, we talk. This is like the offline meets doesn't happen very regularly. And we're trying to change the landscape, but there's so much more to be done. And I think all of us here, we have to commit saying that we don't look at a problem as a problem. We need to find solutions. To find solution, we need to think our shift. So shift thinking, and that will shift technology. Thank you.
Raghav is too tall. Yeah. Thanks, Raghav. Thank you so much. And now we move on to our second speaker. Well, before that, I just want to say that every day when I sit in front of the computer, I have a thought. And the thought is intel inside and mental outside. So that's how I feel. And the reason why I'm saying this is we spend a lot with Microsoft and Windows. And our next speaker is a product manager at Microsoft. She works for Windows accessibility. She works for Cortana. And anytime somebody asks me, oh, so what job do you people with visual impairment do? And Nidhi, I have to say, you're one of the people I quote. My friend Nidhi, she works for Microsoft. So Nidhi is now going to talk about Microsoft and accessible applications. I welcome you, Nidhi.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everybody. A very good afternoon. Let me also add my visual descriptions. I am a fair-skinned 32, going to be 32-year-old, wearing a gray and white blouse and a black pant. trying to look chubby and chirpy as much as possible. So thank you, Aishwarya, for giving me this opportunity to represent and talk about the different assistive technology that Microsoft offers. At Microsoft, we actually take accessibility very seriously, which a lot of us, you'll all give us a lot of feedback. I understand that. But it is core to our mission. We all strive to make sure that all our products are accessible so that information and technology becomes accessible to people with all disabilities, and we all can like participate equally at study, when we work and when we play. And now when it comes to people with visual impairment, I think this is the room that I don't need to really talk to that about, but that's really a spectrum of people, right? People who have color blindness, to people who have low vision, to people who are blind. And really, these are not three different segments, right? All of us lie in somewhere in between. It's all gray in the between. Now, when we build products, we try and offer a variety of products so that people who are in between these three segments could benefit from it. I am blind myself, as Aishwarya said, and now let me walk you through a few such pieces of technology which I use at a daily basis, right? So when my day starts in the morning, I really love the smell of the fresh newspaper. So though there are digital newspapers, I would really like to read at least one article from the paper directly. So how do I do it? There's Seeing AI, which is a mobile application that is by Microsoft, which runs on iOS and iPad devices and is also coming to Android soon. Basically, I use that, point my phone's camera on the newspaper and read it. Let's hear how.
Launch Zomato UPI. Streamlining. Payments for users. Food and grocery delivery company Zomato.
Okay, I know it was fast for few and not so fast for my visually impaired friends here. But essentially, my mobile device with Seeing AI on it pointed to the newspaper, and it read the top headline, which is Zomato joins with ICICI and so on and so forth, right? Now, Seeing AI can be used for different other purposes. So when I want to get ready, match my clothes, it's typically a very big problem, especially a girl like me. I want to have all colors and shades of pink and peach and so on and so forth. How do you do it? I use Seeing AI at times, match the color. But a lot of times I don't believe in technology, being a technologist myself. It happens, right? Like you think it's peach, but it's pink. Then what do? Oh, physical people to rescue. I shout, Mama, hang out the garment outside. So Seeing AI is telling me this is pink. Is this pink or peach? Right? So we always seek for that human validation. So that happens, but that doesn't should stop you from trying out Seeing AI. Do try it and let us know your feedback. Do try the color channel as well. Let us know your feedback if it got your shade of gray correct. Now, so when I reach office, I am told now that I have to sit in a different building, different place. Oh my God. Just now I got used to my old desk. Now they're saying shift in another location, layoffs, and you know the drill, right? Like it's a very tight economic condition. So now different place. So the first time I go, I use Seeing AI and set a route with it. So I ask one of my sighted assistants or a colleague to set up the navigation through the route. It's a new feature. For those of you who have not tried, do definitely try it. And now once I reach, I use this. So let me play a short demo of that as well.
Loading route.
Now, we hear a sound coming from the first waypoint, and visually a series of balls stretching out along the route. Let's walk towards the sound, and that pop indicates we've hit the first waypoint. Let's look with the camera left and right, and we can hear the location of the next waypoint. Let's keep going. There's another one. And another. And let's keep going. That success sound indicates we've reached our destination.
So do try this out. I would urge all the sighted people out here to also try it so that you give us information about it if we are getting the route right once you set it up yourself. So now reach your desk, want to work, you're writing a lot of documents, you have to give it to your team. I have written this document and to format it, it takes so much of keyboard shortcuts to remember, right? Sometimes I feel my memory is all about Control C, Control V, Alt N, VP. It's all that going in the mind always. So let's see how, there's another feature called Microsoft Search that helps you across your Office products. Let's see this video.
I wrote this quick draft that I want to send to my team, and I used Windows Edge, which brings up voice typing, to dictate some parts of it. And now I want to edit some parts and also add some more content.
This functional spec draft.
I want to make this heading, and I don't recollect the shortcut.
Home.
So I could just
Functional spec and dash.
select it and then press Alt Q,
Alt Q, ribbon. Touch to
which
search
brings
anything on the
up the search options. And there I'm just writing
7 suggestions of it.
heading.
Heading. Best action group. Spec underline draft. Best
And
action
if you
group.
hear-
Up to heading 1, promote to heading 1 auto. Promote.
It says heading number 1, promote to heading number auto. So I'm just selecting
Enter.
that.
Leaving menus. Spec underline draft.
And now
This document problem. Elevator pitch. Enter.
And now I want to add a table here. And again, I don't recollect. So I could just
Alt Q,
say
ribbon.
Alt Q,
11
TAB. I
tab.
just
Actions
type
group.
that.
Insert alignment tab 1 edit header. Spec underline draft. Dash. Actions group. Table of contents submenu.
It gave me an option table of contents.
table submenu.
Add table.
Add table.
I could
1x1 table
just
button.
find
1x2
out
table button. 11 of 80.
kind of table I want.
Entered. Spec underline draft. Dash compatibility mode dash word. Header.
So you don't really need to remember the hotkeys in the list of shortcuts. All you do is Alt Q on any of the Office suite of products you are in. It opens up a search box. You just type in the menu, like what I used in the video was heading or table. So I just write a couple of letters and it starts giving you options. So you don't need to navigate the whole ribbon. At the same time, don't remember all the shortcuts. Now, once I've done the required formatting, everything, I send this to my colleagues. And when I receive documents from my colleagues, a lot of them add images and there's no alternative text to it. And we know, like, if you're blind, if there's no text and screen reader just says image, 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 what do you do about it, right? So for all the lazy people who can't add the alt text themselves when they send out these documents, what we added is leveraged AI to automatically add alt text. So as soon as anybody drops an image in a Word document, in an email, we leverage Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services, and we basically try and write a description of the text. So here I'm showing an image of a flower, and it gave an automatic description saying close up of a flower. So for all the sighted people and are lazy to add alt text, we try and do this automatically. And sorry, I'm not trying to say you're all lazy, but one call to action for all of you is do add alt text. And in fact, when you are all using your documents, when you're writing your email, just before sharing with anybody, just go to the view tab and press check accessibility. It's something called accessibility checker that everyone should use, irrespective of one is blind, irrespective of one is not, so that it gives you all the errors that you need to fix. Like, for example, all text is missing, it will tell you to add that. And once you fix all the errors, you're good to go to share that document or email. So one call to action for all of the people attending out here, if you're using Microsoft Office, do check out accessibility checker. It's in the view menu. It's called check accessibility there. So now, okay, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So I'm not that dull as well. So when I, want to be in meetings, I want to, participate as much as possible. I can't keep hearing screen reader all the time and also listen to the people in the room. So sometimes, and very recently, I've tried my hands on something called a refreshable braille display. I'm told that Aishwarya told me there is one placed in the experience zone that got inaugurated earlier today. So if you have not checked it out, please check. It's a physical refreshable braille display. And so now, one thing I'm really excited to say is Narrator, which is Windows inbox screen reader, supports these new modern Braille displays. So in a meeting, when I am presenting or when I'm discussing, I don't need to only limit to hearing the screen reader because it's so confusing when screen reader is reading, when somebody else in the room is reading. So I could just use the Braille display and put my hands on the display and sort of, listen to the content that I want to say or listen to what my PC is saying. So use Braille as uh, a Braille display as a complementary device. We can skip this video. Now, yeah, that's fine. That was a small Braille display video and how that was working. Now, when I go back to the end of the day, I'm a bookworm. I want to read my book, resume my reading. I'll show you how now narrator, instead of the robotic voice it used to have, has a really nice voice that you can hear. So let's hear this out. I'm going back and hearing, sitting back and relaxing and hearing this video.
While these humans were evolving in Europe and Asia, evolution in East Africa did not stop.
The members of some of these species were massive and others were dwarves. Some were fearsome hunters and others meek plant gatherers. Some lived only on a single island, while many roamed over continents.
So you saw how narrator's voice has really changed now. We got a lot of feedback from a lot of people like you all. So we changed the voice to that delightful voice. And so I can sit back, relax, and listen to my book at the end of the day. Now, I hope you all could try. These are just a few things that we all offer at Microsoft Accessibility. Do check out other things. There are a couple of us in the room as well. So do try and catch us. We are happy to share with you. And more than that, learn from you, your feedback, your inputs on what we can do better so that we all can be true to our mission to empower every person and organization to achieve more. Thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi. That was wonderful. Now I'd like to have our third speaker. She's joining us virtually. But before I could call her in, I want you all to imagine something, okay? Let's say your eyes are blindfolded and you're at a building and you have to go to the 11th floor of the building, and it's quite a big building. Can you imagine going there? This question is for our sighted friends here. Can you imagine going there, traveling all by yourself without any help? So that could be the state of inaccessibility when it comes to infrastructure. Without making the place accessible, it is difficult for us to figure out where the way is. And our next speaker today is going to talk about infrastructural accessibility. She's Dr. Kavita Murugkar. She's from Pune. She's the co-founder of Designbridge and Diversity and Inclusion Foundation. And her passion is in diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. I now welcome her. Dr. Murugkar, you're here.
Yes, Aishwarya, I'm very much here.
Thank you
Can
so
you hear
much.
me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, dear friends, it is such a pleasure to be with all of you today, celebrating the Global Accessibility Awareness Day and talking about accessibility in its different forms, facets, and how we can understand accessibility holistically. And I think Aishwarya and the team at LV Prasad Eye Institute have designed such a holistic, such a comprehensive kind of a program for today with speakers from different disciplines talking about accessibility from their perspective. So I'm going to be talking about infrastructure accessibility. And, to start with, I would like to say that infrastructure is the backdrop, for all of us in order to do our daily living activities, to learn, to get educated in those schools, institutions, to work at our workplaces, to do our jobs, or to maybe entertain, to have get involved into leisure activities, to simply socialize, to everything that we do, right? And that's the backdrop. So infrastructure accessibility really becomes a fundamental kind of a need to perform, to be able to get equal opportunities for participation, equal choices, to live, to work as anybody else would do. And it doesn't just affect people with disabilities, but all kinds of people, I would say, irrespective of ages or abilities. When we talk about accessibility, most of the times, it is perceived as the need of persons with disabilities. But well, it helps each and every one of us. It's more beautiful and broader version is universal design, which very simplistically can be explained as a design that works for all kinds of people, irrespective of their differences. And universal design is also that kind of opportunity to create equity, for use, or be it the physical infrastructure or the digital infrastructure, and thus achieve social inclusion or an inclusive society. And I think that's the vision for all of us. That's been mandated by the United Nations. The UN SDG goals talk about it. And major or most of the countries across the globe have taken up social inclusion as the mandate for the coming years. Now, talking about, so let me get back to the topic in infrastructure accessibility. What do we understand by infrastructure accessibility? Infrastructure accessibility is, simply making every aspect of the built environment, be it the external or the internal environment, accessible, usable, perceivable for all kinds of people. Talking about it in the perspective of persons with disabilities, we all know there are 3 different types of disabilities, be it cognitive, be it sensory, or be it physical. Now, accessibility provisions for persons with physical disabilities are something that we often talk about, and those are, of course, including the ramps that allow access for wheelchair users to get into any built infrastructure, or to get out of any built infrastructure for that matter, to be able to use every component of any built environment. It also includes components like accessible parking, accessible doorways, accessible corridor widths, accessible wheelchair maneuvering spaces, accessible wheelchair parking spaces, accessible sill height so that you can look out into the out to the outside, accessible toilets, accessible drinking water fountains, accessible stairs, accessible lift, which allows a wheelchair user to maneuver freely without anybody's help or support, independently through the building, and of course with dignity. So physical infrastructure accessibility is something that I explained to you in the form of those examples. But what about people who have cognitive impairments or cognitive disabilities? How does infrastructure, how is infrastructure made accessible for such kind of people? Now, the major challenges that people with cognitive disabilities have is perceiving the environment. If an environment is simple, it is having great visual connection, has good light and ventilation, has simplistic kind of a layout, which is easily understandable, easily memorable, or kind of retainable in one's cognitive memory, it becomes really easy for one to use it. It does not create any kind of confusion, and thus any kind of a panic or anxiety. Now, this can be achieved by good light and ventilation, particularly good natural light and ventilation, cutting off the noise, creating good buffer spaces so that noises don't transfer from one place to the other, having a very perceivable and an open kind of an environment where one can see, one can also use colors, textures, so that one can identify places and associate them with colors to remember them. Because cognitive disabilities include everything right from autism to learning disabilities to people undergoing chronic depression, anxiety, etc. Cognitive disabilities also could be catered to in terms of the infrastructure by providing quiet rooms that can help to calm down in busy spaces like, say, malls or railway stations, where there is a lot of noise, where there's a lot of crowd. Even simple, people management, traffic management in buildings, which sorts any kind of a commotion, is definitely a sensitive way of creating accessible infrastructure for cognitive disabilities. I can talk more about it, but I would like to now move on to infrastructural provisions for creating accessibility for people with sensory impairments. Let's talk about hearing impairment. Now, the whole idea of creating an accessible environment for persons with hearing impairment definitely again demands or requires a place which is visually connected, because that's the main source of information of perceiving the environment for persons with hearing impairment. So environment or a building or an infrastructure that is designed in a way that there is very good visual connection between spaces, be it vertical, be it horizontal, good, again, natural light and ventilation, so that one can very clearly see every component or every corner of the building. Creating signage is very important. So these could be visual cues, these could be textual cues, these could be directional cues that help a person with hearing impairment to navigate through the building without really depending upon somebody's help or support. So that's another kind of example that I can give about infrastructure accessibility for persons with hearing impairment. Talking about persons with speech impairment, again, in a infrastructure that is being used by a lot of people with speech impairment, I think again, good signage, good cues that help independent navigation and communication is extremely important. And here, right from floor directories to directional signs, to color codes, to demarcate places, to visual kind of boards that can help people with speech impairment to communicate what their needs are, what their questions are, is again a very good way of creating infrastructure accessibility. Coming to persons with visual impairment. Now, like the initial speaker said, visual impairment is a spectrum, right? And you have people who have complete blindness, people who have partial blindness, people who have color blindness, people who have peripheral vision, people who have central vision, people who have acquired blindness maybe after birth, and people who have acquired blindness or have blindness congenitally, that is right from birth. Now, this huge spectrum of people have visual impairment as a disability, can have really varying needs. I would like to include people who can read Braille and who cannot read Braille as well, because most of the people who acquire blindness later prefer to rely on rather not learn a new language like Braille, but prefer audio information as for communicating. So in such kind of a scenario, the how does the environment become perceivable? How do people with visual impairment see an environment is something that we would talk about. Because I believe seeing is not just a function of the eyes, but it can be achieved or it can be facilitated through the sense of touch. It can be facilitated through the sense, through our olfactory sense, through our kinesthetic sense, through our haptic sense, by the sensation of the sunlight, by the sensation of the breeze, by simply sensations of soft sounds or textures around us. So even simply the whole feeling about how far is a wall from me, or how far is the ceiling above me, is so it can be perceived through the sensory, through the audios, audio, I would say, or the acoustical quality of the space. So how do we facilitate this form of seeing that doesn't happen through vision but through other channels? So the navigation, again, the maneuvering through the environment can be facilitated through simple things like having a tactile guiding path in the floor that helps a person with visual impairment to guide himself or herself without any dependency by using the white cane and through the sensation through one's shoes. So it's a tactile guiding path is typically a texture that is embedded inside the floor. It's being put into buildings. It's being put on the streets because it is now a legal mandate to do so. It is mandated by the harmonized guidelines. It is it is mandated by the RPWD Act 2016. And not just the government, but even the private sector is now gearing up and sensitively integrating these kind of measures into their built environment. Now, only providing tactile guiding path is not going to be enough. So a tactile guiding path definitely leads an individual with visual impairment from a point A to a point B, with typically a very standardized kind of a pattern which is used globally, which gives cues to the person about the path that one has to travel, where one has to stop. So there are guiding tiles, there are warning tiles. Time is less, I cannot really go deeper into this subject. But then how does one really understand that one has arrived at the destination or the place one wants to go, right? So it has to be coupled with a good kind of a framework of audio or braille signages or tactile signages. It has to be coupled up with audio tactile maps, which can help, which can be installed right at the beginning of a building or a built or unbuilt infrastructure, be it a park or be it open space, so that one can create a cognitive map of that particular space and then recall it and use it to move around. Technology has definitely become a game changer, and we see a lot of audio based technological advances like audio navigation systems that are very much now available in the markets. There are beacon based systems, there are sensor based systems which capture the kind of environmental cue that is fed and gives a audio feedback to the person with visual impairment, informing the person about his or her her location and the path that one has to take to reach to a destination. In talking about even safer kind of a navigation, railings, handrails are really I would say another important accessibility measure that can help persons with visual impairment, particularly in toilets. If these are installed on the walls, these can help one to identify the location of a washing basin, identify the location of a commode, or all the other features that typically exist in a accessible toilet. Avoiding unnecessary steps and level differences definitely can help. to have a more confident kind of a travel through a building without really worrying about thresholds and small barriers that can lead to trips or falls as hazards. One another interesting feature that can be adopted in the whole concept of designing a building is creating a multi-sensory environment. What is a multi-sensory environment? So a multi-sensory environment is typically which has sound cues, which has maybe, for example, you have courtyards which have these audio. Sorry, have I consumed my time? Okay, so imagine you're traveling through a building and then, there is a water fountain, a water feature, and the sound, audio, the soft sounds coming from there help you to identify, the place. Think about, wind chimes or soft kind of, music that is coming in particular squares that can help one to identify where one is. So individual spaces or components of buildings can definitely be identified through such kind of audio cues as well as olfactory cues. So it could be through the landscaping, through the kind of plantation that is done in the building that helps to understand through the olfactory sense the kind of environment one is in. So I think I've talked a lot, and Aishwarya is hinting that I have finished, consumed my time. So I hope my sharing was really useful for all of you. And I would like to end by thanking LV Prasad Eye Institute as well as the organizing team to have me on board to speak today on the occasion of CARE.
Thank you so much, Dr. Murugkar. Thank you a lot. That was useful information. Moving on to our fourth speaker. I usually get scared of professors, but he is a professor and I enjoy talking to him. He's Dr. T.K. Bansal. He's a retired professor from IIT, and he's a professor in physics, scary subject. And he's also the managing director of Blind to Visionaries Trust. So we welcome you, and we are so happy to have you. He's going to talk about mobility and accessibility.
Very good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, very good. So let me first of all congratulate every one of you on the Global Accessibility Awareness Day, right? Amongst all the speakers, I am the youngest at the age of only 66, right? And I am suffering because of RP. That's no problem for me, actually. I'm gone blind. In fact, I had done my MTech and PhD from IIT Delhi and was a topper of my class. But then I went to University of Oxford for my postdoctoral research, came back and joined IIT Kharagpur. But because of my poor vision, they did not allow me to continue, and I have to leave the institute at the age of only 33. And I came back to Delhi and started my own institute for teaching students for IIT entrance. And for about 30 years, 28 years, I was teaching, as a blind teacher, I was teaching students physics and chemistry and mathematics, and could get maybe 10,000 of them into IIT, NSIT, DC, and other NIITs. So that was so in 2018, my children told that, okay, now you can stop teaching students and you may shut down your institute. I did that, and then started working with the blind students. And I thought that blind people do not get ample opportunities to study. And I thought technology is the future. As Mr. Raghavendra told, technology is the future. Today, we are using mobile phones. Did we ever thought that all of us, the visually impaired people, will be able to use mobile? That too, the touch panels. It was not even thought about. But I started using the touch panel iPhone maybe some 12 years back, when it was only 3G. And now I find it is very convenient. I thought that unless you get this technology in the hands of the people, the things will not happen. But who will create this technology? It's only the bearer who knows where the shoe pinches. So I thought, why not to induce the blind people into engineering institutes? So I started working with blind people who wanted to become engineers. And in the past 4 years, I could get 8 of them into top-notch institutes, not only in India, but abroad also, including one in Stanford University with 80% scholarship. So that is the way I'm working. And I have created NCRT books, which are accessible, and they are accessible to such an extent that even the blind people can read better than the sighted peers. They have no difficulty. They can just open the computer, start reading on the screen reader using JAWS and other things. But recently only, I started working on the mobility devices. I went to United States of America the month of December, and I found that there people are using different kind of white canes. So I brought some of them. And I thought that in India, generally, Aishwarya, can you please switch on my video?
John, he wants to. You can play it, sir.
Is it on?
Yeah, your video is on.
You are not
Right.
seeing.
Sir, but you're not on the screen.
I'll just switch on. It's Alt and M. Alt and V. Yes, I'm. Can you see me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because I believe that many of us cannot see, but obviously there are people who can see. So I am showing this white cane that most of us have. Right? In India, we work only with one kind of a cane. That is a white cane, and that is available to every one of us. And it has a tip which we call as the pencil tip. Right? And the problem with this pencil tip is that we can use it only as a 2-point contact. But this has become fairly old-fashioned, and you cannot replace it. You can see I have taken it out, but if I want to open it, if it breaks and I want to change the tip, it's not really possible for me. So therefore, in the month of January, I started working towards another very important aspect, that I should create things which are replaceable. And I created this marshmallow rolling tip. I think some of you can see that this is not a fixed tip, rather it rolls on the ground. Right? I have created it very nicely, and it has a ball bearing which will not let you lift the cane up from the ground. You can get a complete feeling. But then I got the feedback from the people that they want canes that can go left, right, backward and forward. So I created another kind of a tip, which we call as the omnisense cane tip. This can go forward. As you can see, I am rolling it on this is going backward and forward. And this also can roll left and right. And I call it as chahudishi, that can go in all directions. And this can be placed in the same cane that I was showing you. You see, I can change the tip of my cane without any difficulty. I can really do that. I've taken it out and I'm putting it back. Right, I'll show you. Just in 3 seconds, I can change the cane. Now, instead of a marshmallow roller tip, it has become a cane that is an omnisense cane tip. And then I can go on to a roller ball, which is again a bigger one. So depending on the environment that in which you are working, right, I can create things of that kind. Anyhow, so therefore, another thing that people see, this is a rolling the rolling ball tip, right, which will glide over even 2 inches of pits and holes, which will not, otherwise will not get stuck, and you can glide the. But the basic problem that comes in India is that this is what we are doing, which is on the behalf of the customers or the users. But what about the infrastructure to be provided by the government? Right, the footpaths, especially in a city like Delhi, it's a huge city actually. Right, and there are so many red lights and flyovers everywhere, here and there. But in other countries, we have blippers, which is not a very costly device. You get to the crossing, press a button, and as soon as you get the green light for the pedestrians to cross the pathway, right, it says flip, 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 flip. And you know that this is the time for you to cross it actually. I don't know whether it is available in Hyderabad or in Bombay or not, but in Delhi, nowhere it is available. And it was available in Oxford. I was studying in Oxford in the year 1987 and in Belgium in the year 1985. Even during those days, these things were available in those countries. And our footpaths are very beautiful that if a blind person moves onto the footpath, the pit holes, the manholes are open and you will easily get into it. So therefore, I think it's very important for us to have canes which are sturdy enough, number one, and which are able to sense all kind of problems which are there on the highway. Because if I am going with a 2-point touch, then I do not know, because between one point to another point, the distance is about 2 feet, and that is the kind of size of a manhole. So therefore, I am sure if your cane does not sense that, then I'm sure we are going to go into the manhole, and I think all our problems will be done, right? But that is another way of looking at it. But I myself again say something that people say blind, I don't say blind. I am not blind, I am visionary. So therefore, I named the trust as Blind to Visionaries Trust. And these days, with the help of the mobile phones, we can navigate our path using the Microsoft Seeing AI. We can use Google Maps, and we can use Lazarillo to navigate. Still, a lot has to be done, actually. A lot has to be done. The screen readers has been a very big boom for the people like me, right? And I'm putting although I will say again one thing, that most of the people whom we are talking, Raghavendra, and they are fairly young, actually. See, I've spent all my life with this kind of a difficulty. In those days, there was no reservation. I was denied the employment even by the government institution, although I could qualify maybe 10 different examinations without any fail. Wherever I went, I was qualified. I did qualify. But when it comes to medical examination, there was a problem. There was nothing like accessibility. There were no screen readers. I was using a computer right from 1980 onwards when I came to Delhi. But I have to take help from others to really key in my data or see things from very close so that the data can be seen. Anyhow, it was all a good journey for me, actually. So I am now working with every student, with every person. So I'm trying to make my life a fruitful one so that I'm able to pay back to the society. In fact, I have created another one. Many people wanted that people should have beautiful telescopic cane. Saksham brought a telescopic cane from Netherlands, which costs 6,500 rupees, right? And it has no features. You cannot adjust its length. You cannot change the tip. So I created another. This is a telescopic cane, right? Which is a 44-inch height. And you can change it to whatever length you want, right? You can lock it and can move it. And even at the lower end of it, I have again placed the same. You can again change, right? Another thing that I have put a lock over here so that while you're changing the tip, right, it does not go away. The rubber band does not. I'm working with many more devices so that the mobility of the people, blind people or the visually impaired people, becomes so easy. But I would only request one thing to all my visually impaired people, that please start using the white cane. Why are we denied of our rights? Is because there is no presence, Now this white cane has your marshmallow roller tip. You can take it wherever you like, and this can even be used to send away the dogs and cats and any animals, because it is fairly sturdy. It's fairly sturdy, You can hit anyone. The white cane that we are using at present, right? I remember in 2019, I went to a disability day, right? When I came out with my white cane, the dogs started barking onto me, right? Because they saw my cane and they felt that I'll beat them. But if my cane is so weak that I just strike and it bends, right? See, this is nothing difficult. It is a cane which I have really made out of the tripod stand of a camera. You can see it, right? I have pasted the paper over it. See, we have to see what are the things available with us. And how can I really make them? Now I'm talking to this person who is making these camera stands, and he will create canes for me so that I can give these canes to my people at a much, much lower price, actually, maybe 800 rupees, maybe 700 rupees, maybe 400 rupees, So therefore, things would work. Only thing is, we have to see around. You will say, how will you see? When you cannot see, how will you see? You have to have a vision. You have to have a perception for the things to work. Unless we ourselves work, actually, see, I'll say put together that we must start creating awareness about the blindness or about the blind people in the society, because that stigma that I will not use a white cane because it does not look nice is bad. People say, why are you using a white cane? I say, it is my trait. It is my symbol of my personality. When I'm using Dr. T.K. Bansal, doctor is my trait of my personality. I have done my PhD, so I'm putting this doctor in front of my name. I'm a professor, so I'm using that. So I'm a blind person, therefore I must use a white cane so that people can recognize that I have difficulties in looking at things. So please overcome this stigma of white cane and be a part. We are not criminals. We are not dacoits. We are a respectable members of this society, and we have to create an inclusive society where a visually impaired person can also live with full dignity. I think if you have any questions, you can talk to me. I can share my telephone number to everyone, and you can talk to me 24/7. I think my boy has told me that the time is now over, and you have to in any case stop before Aishwarya tells me that please your time is over. Is that fine?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I will just tell my telephone number. Yes, because anyone who wants to contact me, my telephone number is 98108-42754. Let me repeat again, 98108-42754. And you can have it from Aishwarya also. I think wish you a very good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Whenever I see you, I think of this, the solution to your problem starts with yourself. So you sure reflect that. Thank you for talking to us today. It was amazing. And now I move on to our fifth and the last speaker for the day. He's Mr. Vivian Manohar, co-founder and CEO of Grailmaker Innovations. He has been a very close friend of mine, and every time I think, if there was a human chat GPT, it would be him, because I would go to him and say, okay, this is the issue I'm having with the app. And the next 3 days he's working in front of the computer solving it. So that is Vivian, and he develops assistive products for people with disabilities. And he's going to talk about workplace accessibility.
Can I have the paper, please? So, many centuries ago, when I was still a school student, one day, one of my very favorite uncles came to my home. So I had been waiting for him to come from the morning. Why? Because he was a cool uncle who plays guitar. And just a week before that, I had nagged my dad and brought a very basic guitar. I didn't know to play, but that was the time when this movie, Varnamayiram, the Surya movie, had come out. I think in Telugu it is Surya, son of Krishnan, I guess. So in which he plays guitar. So when he came, immediately that evening I gave the guitar to him and asked him to play, okay, uncle, play this song from this movie and teach me that song. You know what happened? He couldn't play even a single chord in the guitar. Any guesses? Why?
Left-handed.
Yeah, right. I am a righty and he is lefty, so I had right-handed guitar. So now you tell me this: which of these two statements is true? Is it true that my uncle doesn't have the ability to play guitar, or is it simply that my guitar is not accessible for him? Right. So very good evening to everyone. I'm Vivian. I'm 31 years old, wearing black shirt and blue jeans. So I'm here going to talk about how to make the workplaces accessible, especially for persons with visual impairment. And Aishwarya has already told me my time has been reduced. Okay, so I'm going to rush a bit, but if we want to talk further, we can talk after the session as well. So before we begin, let's do a role-playing game. I'm going to be what to say, person with visual impairment. I'm going to play that role. I'm a recent MBA grad looking for a job opportunity, and all of you here are going to be employers. So you are working in a growing company, and you want to you are looking for an assistant manager to join your finance department. Okay. So what the first thing that you'll be doing as an employer? So you're going to post a job posting, right? And on the screen, I'm showing actual job posts, which I saw just yesterday evening on my LinkedIn feed. The problem with these posts is that it is an image. So if you remember what the first speaker was saying, images are not going to be accessible with screen readers. It's just going to tell me that it's an image. So I won't even be knowing that this opportunity is open for me. Okay, so what you can do is simply add extra description, put the description outside of the images. Even if you really want to put the images, put the description outside. Or already, as we learned, you can use alt text to put description there. And it's better you just avoid image only posts in social media or LinkedIn or anywhere else. Okay. Now the job application, the job description is really appealing to me. So I apply for the job. So how do I do that? You're giving me a link where I can go and fill a form. Now the question is the form accessible for me? Right? So my screen reader again has to read out all the options which is available in the form, like the drop-down menu, like a checkbox, and everything. It has to be labeled properly. And actually, this is not a difficult thing to do at all, right? You can simply hire a accessibility tester, or you can do an accessibility audit and make sure that your website or the form and everything is accessible. And very important thing that I have noticed in many forms is that before you submit, sometimes they ask for CAPTCHA. You know, even if you're cited or not, CAPTCHAs are really irritating. I mean, I hate them. But it's even more irritating when you can't, if it's only a vision only CAPTCHA, right? So you need to have this audio CAPTCHA as well. So make sure that you do that. And third thing is, many of these forms have automatic timeout. That is, if you don't fill this form in a particular time, it's going to throw you out. You know, and as a screen reader user, by the way, when I say I'm a low vision person, it also means that not only I'm going to use a magnifier on the screen, I might also be using a screen reader again. So it's going to be a problem for all types of visual impairment, at least for most types of visual impairment. So give adequate time to fill the form. All right. So now all done. I have applied and you find my resume interesting. So you call me for interview. So I come to your office. So can I, so who's going to guide me to your interview room? Does the person at the reception desk know that I'm coming? Or are they trained to guide me properly? For instance, they can simply say, sir, please go this side. So please go that side. So what is this side and what is that side, right? So somebody, unless a person is aware of these things, they won't be knowing how to guide you, right? So make sure that somebody helps the person to come to the interview, because I'm already very anxious about the interview day, and you're going to make my day even more worse. And just imagine how I'm going to perform, right? And second, if it is like for an executive level position, then you're going to ask me to read material and ask me to do some analysis and present it. And again, that's going to be a problem if you are going to give me physical copies. So make sure you also have digital copies, which I can access with screen readers. And the other thing is, this is very important. As an interviewer, you know how we have these visual cues, right? So if a person is walking straight, if the person is making eye-to-eye contact, if the chin is up, then you think the person is confident. It might be true, but it also, if a person has low vision, the person might be looking at the floor, not because the person is shy or not confident, because they are trying to find visual cues the contrast and all these things to make sure they navigate properly. Right? If a person has RP, they might be behaving a little bit differently. They might be not making eye contact and all these things. So let's be a little bit more open, because ultimately you want to find the best candidate for the job, the right skill set. So these little things we can break, I guess. Okay, all done. Now thank you so much for hiring me. So I'm coming to your office. I'm going to work there. So the infrastructure has to be accessible for me. Already Dr. Kavita had given a beautiful talk about that already. So I'll just quickly run through. It's going to be like a bit of a summary. So first thing, tactile tiles. You might have, those sighted people have already seen that in the metro stations. Those tactile tiles you would have seen. So they come in different forms. It need some are expensive. Some you can it's not that expensive. You can simply stick it on the floor. And second is, nowadays all the offices are having glass doors, right? The big glass doors and all these things. But they are really good for letting in light and energy saving and all these things. But the problem is they can cause a lot of problems for persons with low vision, especially if the lighting is not proper. So what you can do is, wherever you're having glass doors, see, this is in the screen, I'm showing an image where there is a white door frame. There is a glass door panel inside that. And outside there is this dark colored hinges, which is holding the door. So as soon as I see the door, I can easily know that where the door is, and I won't be having any confusion. I won't accidentally go and bump onto the glass. It doesn't matter if you're sighted or not sighted. Someday you would have done that, right? So, and the other things, simple things. Recently, I read an article where a visually impaired person got stuck in an elevator. You know why? Because there were no tactile buttons inside. Nowadays, everything is going touch, right? So a person goes inside, and there is no audio feedback also. So how am I going to press the button? There's no button at all, right? So this is what now even in very modern offices, this is happening. So if you are in a senior level position, just make sure that that even the elevators are accessible. And the staircases, if there is no proper contrast, for example, this staircase here you might find a problem, because there is poor contrast here between these two stairs. But there is good contrast between the floor and the stair. So I know exactly where the floor is, the staircase is, but between two steps, there is not enough contrast. So these little things are going to make a lot of difference in everything. But there is a problem with these kind of signages as well, which I'll talk about in a minute. The other one is very basic, adequate lighting. That is, I think it doesn't matter if you have sighted or visually impaired. Proper lighting is important, and also proper color contrast. Again, as we spoke about the staircase, and this dedicated work desk. I think one of the speakers even talked about that. Nowadays, it's becoming very dynamic. So wherever you go, you can sit in an office nowadays. You just take your laptop, dock it in the workplace, and you can start working. But as a person with visual impairment, I would actually like to have a dedicated space where I can organize my things properly. So that would really help. And other things were already covered in the previous talks. That is, how do you make your laptops and other things accessible? So for Windows, you already have NVDA and JAWS. And the best thing is NVDA is free. And if you are a Mac user, VoiceOver, that's another screen reader, which comes for free along with the laptop itself. So you need not even purchase anything. So there's no excuse there at all. But again, just to quickly tell about the problem with the screen readers is that it won't be reading out scanned images. If it is an image, it's not going to be reading it out. And if it's a scanned PDF, that's a problem. People send PDF after scanning a document, physical document, and it's not going to work. And other things are very basic. We all know, put the font size in a proper size, like at least 12 points. And don't put underlines until it's absolutely necessary. If there are charts and tables, add some little bit of extra description to it, and use fonts like Calibri or Arial, basically sans serif fonts. Okay, and if you're working in a even big office, the other problem is like, what about the other equipment? For example, a printer or a coffee machine, or even if it's a big office, you'll be having microwave ovens in the kitchen. Again, the same problem comes in, like how I said for elevators, everything is becoming touch. So there is no tactile cue for the user to use that. So one thing what you can do is create awareness among the team, especially the procurement department, and make sure that they know which one to get, which is accessible and which is not. And yeah, I was just saying about the awareness part. This is the most important thing, I think, in a workspace, besides the infrastructure, besides the application process, HR process, and everything. Once a person comes into your office and start working, your colleagues need to be aware of this, right? For example, I'll just give you very quick tips, which I learned at the rehabilitation department here at LV Prasad. For instance, you are getting into a room where a visually impaired person is sitting, you announce yourself. Hi, Aishwarya, this is Vivian. And before you're leaving, you just tell that you're leaving. Don't leave the doors half open, right? And if you're moving something, inform the person, because after this orientation part is done, they might not be expecting some random stuff on the pathway. Put your laptop bags in its place, right? And all these things. And okay, earlier I told you about these signages. There's a small problem with these signages. That is, Braille is used everywhere, but unfortunately in India, only 1% of the population can read Braille. That's what the studies show. And even globally, only 10% it is. So what about the rest of them? How are we going to include them as well? So this is one of the problems which our startup is working. We are using a very simple QR code tech, which you use for your Google Pay and Phone Pay. You simply scan them, and you can record information and you can access them. So what is the difference between this and Seeing AI kind of apps is that these apps help you identify things, but we are trying to solve the problem of labeling. Both are, that is a difference. For instance, one of the speakers said, how do I find the difference between a peach color and a pink color, right? So we make these cloth labels as well. You just stitch it to your clothes, and you scan them, you record them for the first time with the help of a sighted person. Then afterwards you scan them, then it's going to read it for you. There's not going to be any mistake at all. So as simple as that. And we are working for public accessibility as well with this solution. So to conclude, so these are some of the takeaways. One is that when you say accessibility, you do make sure you do it throughout the process, right? Starting from you put the job description till they get accommodated at your workplace. And this is going to help everyone. This was something we have already realized, right? When we say to contrast or lighting and everything, is not just for a person with a visual impairment. Especially this is going to help the elderly people in the office, all these senior level executives. It's going to be helpful for them. This is very important. Again, whenever you want to change something as big as an elevator, or say you have bought a very expensive scanning machine which is not accessible. Now you're not going to replace it immediately, right? You have already spent a lot of money on it. But what the senior management can do is they can make some little changes in the policy to accommodate Seeing AI, or like say, what is it? When you can ask for help from other people through the app. Aishwarya, what is that? Yeah, Be My Eyes. So that is actually a problem in many offices. It could be a problem because it's something that has to do with the privacy. A third person, a random stranger, is actually looking at your screen and other things. But if there is a problem with the accessibility in your office, the senior management can make some little policy changes in these aspects. And finally, this quote, disability is not a lack of ability, but a lack of accessibility, actually was given to me by ChatGPT. You know, so just a newborn AI, if it can understand accessibility, we as humans can do much better, I guess. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Vivian. Thanks a lot. Just 3 more minutes and we're going to conclude. So we've been talking about alternate text, and we were thinking, as participants who do not know about alternate text, we have this short video, after watching which outside this auditorium, like while you're having your refreshments, this is also for my side, visually impaired friends, there's a notice board kept on which there's a poster of the Global Accessibility Awareness Day. And right next in front of the poster, there's a table on which there's a 3D model of Titanic. You can touch it, you can explore it, you can have, I request one of Bharti or Chaitanya to be there at the ship so that visually impaired people can explore. So after watching this video, what I want you all to do is you can take a selfie at the Titanic and the poster in the background. And I would love you to post it on FB and add alternate text. And how you add that, you can watch this video. Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to show how you can add alternate text on Facebook or any other social media. It is almost the same. So right now we are on the page of LV Prasad Eye Institute for Vision Rehabilitation, and we had posted the Global Accessibility Awareness Day poster on our Facebook page. So Facebook generally provides automated description to the images posted. So this is how the description reads when you use a screen reader.
Also has a link graphic, maybe an image of one person, phone, digital audio player and text that says LVPELV Prasad I. Link graphic Institute for Vision Rehabilitation Global Accessibility Awareness Day Thursday, May 18th. Link graphic 2023 S Sony Lively Lions Kahoichoi, Moi, and Live Wesser Alanon I support accessibility for. Link graphic all.
So if you heard that, my screen reader started speaking in some foreign language that I did not understand. So let's say there is a picture of two people. It will say two people smiling outdoor, two people smiling indoor, beard, glass. This is how the Facebook description usually is. But if you want to add Facebook, alternate description to your picture, you gotta select the
maybe an image
picture
of one person.
first.
Maybe an image of one person, phone.
So once the picture is selected, you go to the options, actions for this post.
Graphic Institute, graphic 20, graphic all, button tag vote, button zoom in, button unavail, button tag friend, button enter full, complimentary, published by link, graphic shared with, menu button collapse sub-menu actions for this. Save.
So this is expanded, and here I will have an option to add alternate text.
Who can comment on your post? View edit history 3. Change all text 4 of 17.
So change all text, I'm going to enter that.
Close, change all text heading level 2. Close button. Type alternative text.
So I've already written description to that image. I'm going to paste that here.
This image is the
okay, and
cancel button. Save button.
I'm going to save it.
1.
So it comes back to the same page. I'm going to refresh this page.
Blank. Graphic some color patterns on top and bottom. Okay. Banner landmark.
I'm going to have the screen reader read it out for me.
Account controls and setting. Main landmark. This image is the poster of the Global Accessibility Awareness event. Graphic some color graphic. This image is the poster of the Global Accessibility Awareness event. It has white background with graphic some color patterns on top and bottom. The text in it reads LV Prasad Eye Institute for Graphic Vision Rehabilitation. Global Accessibility Awareness Day, May 18th, 2023. Graphic reads, I support accessibility for all. There is LPI's logo and an image in it in which a graphic person is looking into the enlarged screen of his smartphone.
So this is the description I have written. Likewise, whenever you post pictures on Facebook, Twitter, Insta, you can actually add alternate text and make our world accessible. Thank you. So that is how we can add alternate text, and we encourage you. The stage is waiting. Your selfies are definitely waiting outside, and you can be Jack or Rose, that you can decide. And thank you so much. It has been, we are sorry it has, it's concluding late, but we want to, from our hearts, we want to thank you for being here. Dr. Rajiv Reddy, for all your support in whatever we do, and all the participants who are here, clients with visual impairment, their parents, all the speakers, amazing talk. I'm really awed with all your talk. It felt like I didn't know anything about accessibility and I was listening to you all. Thank you so much. It has been a wonderful day and we hope to continue this. Thanks a lot. The refreshments are served outside. Please have it. Thank you.